Well, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Project Time Garage. Today we got some more Datsun 521 goodness coming your way. We're going to be replacing the bulbs in the instrument cluster with LEDs. And while we have the dash out, we're going to go ahead and freshen it up, paint those needles, clean it up, make it look presentable. Because right now it's kind of hazy and gross. Looks like it's had some sun duty. We're going to fix all that. Why am I doing LED lights? Well, it's a fair question. This is an old truck. It didn't have good dash lights from the word go. But with the dash lights being burned out, you can't see anything at night. Fall's coming. The time change is about to happen. You know, it's going to be getting dark here, like right after you eat lunch, it seems like. So a lot of my vehicles get driven some at night, particularly, you know, on like Saturday nights, going to a cruise in or something like that. You need headlights, you need dash lights, you need all that stuff. If we're going to be putting lights in the thing anyway, why stick with the old 194s? Let's go ahead and go the extra distance, and let's get some, some LEDs. Also, another thing to consider when you're upgrading your dash lights is amperage draw. I know we've all seen these old cars, you know, that have connectors that are burned and all that. It's just from amperage draw and a lot of years and bad connections. At least upgrading your vehicle to LEDs, it will reduce the amount of draw, I mean, dramatically on them. So it's a lot easier on the electric system, a lot easier on the alternator. It's brighter. It's just, I could go on and on and on about why you'd want to do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to stick some LEDs in this dash. We're going to paint our needles. I'll show you that too. And we're going to go as far as we can to refurb our dash. So without further ado, let's get going. Before we get going, if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. Only takes a second. There's a link down there in the left, looks like my icon. Click that, subscribe. Helps me out dramatically, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, on with the show, guys. Well, here we are, sitting in the truck in a dark garage. Thought I would show you what the dash lights look like right now. So there they are. As you may be able to tell, I have a little bit of a light of some sort right down here, and that's pretty much it. I may have something over here, it's hard to tell, but either way, that's why we're doing this. And of course, the tack that we installed is really bright. So let's fix this. Well, this is what we have for LEDs. I have a stack of natural white, which will be just kind of more of a pure white. I have a stack of warm white, because I believe that's what we're going to end up putting in here. This most closely matches the factory bulb color. Got a couple of reds. If I decide to change out the bulbs that are in the oil pressure and the something else, maybe high beam, those are reds. And I bought two greens, one for each turn signal, but I accidentally used one on the tack. So I don't know if I'll probably won't use this one, honestly. Then, while we're at it, we have needle paint. So while we have it apart, we're gonna go ahead and we're going to touch up those needles. I'm gonna leave an Amazon link down in the description below for this stuff. It has kind of that natural, like, luminous glow or whatever when the lights hit it. So it does a good job making your needles look refreshed. Okay, I think the next thing to do is let's go to the truck, get this dash out of here, or at least figure out how it comes out. Never taken one out before. Wish me luck. So I think there is a screw right under here and one at the same spot on the other side. We have convenient cracks in the dash up here that also double as screw holders. It's not really a cracked dash, it's a screw holder. It's a feature. Good thing we put this tack in first. at that. Perfection. Perfection. For those of you wondering, the dash has two little clips there, one on each side. You just pull it straight down and it unclips. Now what? I see more screws. See a screw, remove a screw. That's my motto. See, that's not coming out. It has a nut on the back of it. It is a bolt. What are the chances I want to drop this in the dash? Let's say about 80%. Even has a lock washer. Complete. Are we loose now? We are loose now. Do we have to unhook anything from underneath, or does it all pull out? So many questions. Let's see. Speedometer cable. You can just reach back there easily and unscrew that. Not a problem. Easy. Then what do we have? We have one connector. Oh, that's it. Let's go to the bench. Okay, cluster on the table. Dirty cluster. We're going to clean that up some. So we got to do a couple of things here. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to get it apart so that we can get in there and paint those needles back again. And we're also going to give it a good clean while we're there. I think we're also going to try to get maybe some steel wool or something and see if we can maybe clean or polish this this trim up a little bit. It's supposed to be chrome. It doesn't look too pitted. The other thing we've got to do is we've got to decide which of these are dash lights and which of these aren't dash lights. And really the easiest way I can think of to do this kind of thing is just to pull a socket out and shine a light through it. That's what we're going to do. Pull that one out. We can look in there and we see that there's a green diffuser in there. So I'll take my flashlight, I'll turn it onto the end there, and we'll shine it in the back. Yep, and that is on the fuel gauge. So armed with that knowledge, we can just play trace the trace. So I know that there is you know, always a plus and a minus. I don't know which is which here. We're just going to do some assumptions. If we follow this trace here, it goes all the way across the top and goes to that pin right there, right? So at some point what we're going to do is we're going to get in the truck and we're going to see if we have 12 volts there or if we have ground there. But for now, we're just going to trace this thing out. So we know that we go from here over to here. Then it leaves there, goes all the way down here, makes a turn around the bottom, comes up and touches this one. So that must be a dash light too. Let's shine the light there, see what we get. Yeah, that's one side of the speedometer. That's what that is. So we leave there. It comes down, goes around, comes up to this one. Logic would tell me that's the other side of the speedometer. Has a green diffuser. We're just going to say that we have this bad boy figured out. We come from there, we go down, around, and up to this side. And that's all there is in that trace. Here comes some more assumptions. That one, I can see the turn signal light, the turn signal directional indicator in there. So this one must be turn signals. This one is what's in the center here. It's the high beam indicator. So that means that the inside two here must be ignition, which is charging, I guess, and oil pressure. Perfect. And are those also? Yeah, those also have little red diffusers in there. So I can use white bulbs for all these. That's cool. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So let's pull all these out, all these bulbs out. And I'm not going to replace them just yet. I'm going to do a little more disassembly here and see if I can figure out how to get down to the nitty-gritty, as it were. Get these needles out of here. I think we're going to start with removing all of these screws that go around and try to pull this back case off. Let's see what we get when we do that. Okay, all those are out. Hey, I think we can work with this. Check it out. Now you can see what I was talking about. The original color of these needles was like a really bright orange color, and just over the years the sun has faded them out. This will be a nice little improvement. This is what I've come up with. Just trying my best to keep from getting anything dripped onto this cluster. And now we paint. But you can see it matches extremely well to the original color. It doesn't take a whole lot either. A little bit on that one. Okay, give that just a little while to tack up, and we'll come back and put another round on them. We've got a little too much on that one. If you get too much on there, it tends to kind of run down and want to blob up on the end of the needle, and you don't want blobby needles. With my steady hand, you can see why I don't do pinstriping. All right. I think that might be all we do to these, because it looks pretty doggone spectacularly awesome if you ask me. Okay, while that paint's drying, we have some things that we have to figure out in order to get these bulbs to work. LED bulbs, right? They only work one way. So, you know, whereas a traditional bulb, you can plug it in either way and it'll just light up and work, but LEDs are polarity sensitive, meaning if I put positive to negative, they just won't light up. So you have to make sure that you get it right. In order to do that, what we're gonna have to do is, we're gonna have to identify the pin that we found earlier and see if it is 12 volts or if it's ground. At that point, once we know what that pin is being supplied, then we can follow those traces and we know how to orient our bulbs. At that point, I'm gonna bench test every bulb in every socket holder to make sure that I'm 12 volts the first time. That way I can put it back together and I have uber confidence that it'll work. Plus, just to be extra super duper safe, we're going to bench test the entire cluster on the bench with ye old booster box. That way we put it back together, we're double, triple, dadgum doggone sure that it's gonna work. And you wanna be that sure about your projects. So let's test. As opposed to testing, since my memory is so short, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off of here and flip this cluster back up on its face so that I can retrace the back of it again, because I can't remember what I did earlier. But wow, doesn't that look better? I mean, just look at it. Would you just look at it? Would you just look at that? It's just so good. So good. All right. No, this is not final, but I'm just going to sit it back together long enough to flip it on its end so as not to mess anything up. See, like that. Just being cautious. Just being cautious. There. That's not good at all. Let's try this. Gold star to anybody that can tell me what that is. Hint. It was seen in a video of mine, actually a couple of videos of mine long ago. It's a part to something. What is it? I tell you what, make a deal with you. The first person to comment down below on what machine this fits, what does it go on? I don't care where it's located, any of that. You tell me what machine this goes on, or what video that you saw this in. First person to comment with the right answer, I'll send you a t-shirt looks a lot like this one and like this. First person will get one. So comment below. Let me give you a good look at it. Looks like this, this, this. Flip it around. I can tell you that I had a couple of videos on it. So comment down below and tell me what it fits. Okay, back to this madness. We decided that this particular socket here goes all the way over to this pin here. So the way we're going to remember that is we have an indention right here, or a lineup pin, index pin right here, and it's going to be basically to 1 o'clock on that pin. Whatever wire is at 1 o'clock on that pin. We're going to go and see what we have voltage wise. Let's go do that. So let's grab a ground somewhere. Pretty much any of this stuff under the dash ought to be a good ground. That's the beauty of old vehicles like this. There's a ground everywhere. Let's turn the headlights on, or parking lights anyway, and let's see what we've got here. So I said the 12 o'clock position and then 1 over from it. So yes, there we go. And if I turn the lights off, so that is positive. Good. Also, here's another interesting thing. If I go to the next position, which is, let's call it the 2 o'clock position, I also have power on that one, but I shouldn't. That's a turn signal circuit. That explains why when I turn my headlights on, one of my turn signal lights is lit up. I probably have a short back there in the back. It's probably a bulb socket that's shorted together. That's probably feeding back up here, be my guess. We'll sort that out later. But anyway, we know that that particular trace that we were looking at earlier is plus 12 volts. All right, let's take that knowledge back over to the bench. So we're back with Mr. Booster Box. Got a couple of test leads here. I'm going to plug the black on the negative side, and I'm going to plug the red on the positive side, like that. So have 12 volts here, and basically here's the thing. I'm trying to figure out which way to orient my bulbs, because as you see, I already have put in a bulb into a holder. This holder has basically a connector here and a connector here. We don't know what orientation those are. So here's how we find out. I go to one side of this holder, don't care which, grab it with a test lead, go to the other side, grab it with a test lead, and look, it lights up. So I know that this side here is the positive side, because look here, if I turn these around and plug them up, nothing. All right, so this is my positive side. So armed with that knowledge that we gained earlier, we know that up here, this is the positive side. So as long as this tang, or this connector here, ends up touching this part here, my bulb is oriented properly. Yes, indeed. Locked in, that's good. Let's grab another one, see which way we are on it. I have a negative here, and a positive here. That is backward. That is correct. So this is the positive side for this guy. And I'm going to keep my finger on it so I don't lose it. And we said this trace goes all the way down up here and to that side. So this, the part my finger's on, needs to make contact there. Let's see if we can make that happen. I believe we did. All right, moving on to this one. I think I did that right. And here's our last socket for lights. It has a, it already has an old 194 in it. So we'll pop that out, pop the bulb in. Don't care which way I put the bulb in, because, okay. So look, I did 50-50, wrong versus right. There we go. So this is positive, and we know that this trace comes up here to this side. So this would be our positive one. Like so. All right. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to make sure that we are 100% correct. The way we're going to do that is we're going to take our positive wire and we're going to clip on to this post that we just talked about, like that. And we're going to supply a ground, which is usually like this rivet right here. And you can see all of the lights that light up. So this one over here is lit. This one's lit. Wait, this one isn't lit. I got it backward. See, you see why I'm doing this? Let's try that. No, still wrong. All right, so I have nothing here. Is it a power problem or is it a ground problem? Let's figure that out. Here's how I can test my theory. I know that when I go here, a lot of my lights light up, just not this one. So I have another ground button right here. So I can take my probe and I can touch to this ground button, to this ground rivet, and you see that other lights lit up, but that one didn't. All right. Next test is we're going to go all the way up here to the bulb and we're going to touch ground right here and see it lights up, but none of the rest do. So that tells me that the rivet right here is no longer making good contact with this trace. So we're going to stop real quick and we're going to resolder that and fix that. So let's get set up to do that. All right. We've got the soldering iron heating up. And we're just going to put just a titchy touch of solder right here. There we go. That should be enough. By the way, if you don't have a butane soldering iron, you should get one. They are super duper handy. I'll put a link down there on Amazon to where I get this. I get a lot of people asking me which one of these I use. I chose the Power Probe one. I mean, just because it's what I chose. But yeah, they're fairly inexpensive-ish, and they work really well. All right, let's see if we have fixed anything. All right, let's see. So we go back to this ground stud. Oh, and look at that. We have lightage. So that one is, actually, that socket is so loose. I just don't like it. Why is it so loose and so terrible? Oh, I see why it's so loose and terrible. Look, the bulb socket is broken. Let's pull that out. Let's grab a different bulb socket. And then we're going to 50-50 it and see if we were right first try. Of course we weren't. Yay! All right, there. So that has that fixed up. Moving on across, let me supply my ground back again. This one works, but this one up here does not. Either I got it backward or I may have another ground problem. Nope, I had it backward. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 lights, all working, all present, and accounted for. That is good news. All right. Now all we have to do is just everything else. On the high beam indicator, I'm going to use a natural white bulb for it. There we go. And we're going to see which way we orient. Now, you may be asking yourself, why doesn't this dude test positive and negative on that too? And I'm gonna, natural white, perfect. So let's pop this guy back in here. All right, let's see what we've got. We would assume that since there is a rivet here, we would assume that that's negative. So we'll go there, and then we'll go there, and we have nothing. Let's flip-flop the bulb around. And we'll go here, and we have something. All right. That's my assumption there. All right. What's next? I'd say the turn signals are probably next. I'm just going to go ahead and just jam them in there. Live dangerously for a second. We'll come back and test them out here in a second. All right. 2 turn signals in. How do we test those? Well, it shares a common ground point with this dash light. So I know that I can hold my ground on this one, and I can find the other side of it and trace it over to its respective pin and supply 12 volts there. If it lights, I'm correct. Okay, it did not light. Let's flop her around here and see if it'll light. Yay, I see it lit up back there beautifully. All right, let's go to the other side then. So again, like the other side, this one shares its ground with this dash light. So we hit this. We go over, and it is this one. And again, let's see. Yeah. No, wait, I missed that. All right, so it's the top one. Yep, and it is lit up. Okay, so that takes care of those two. So both turn signal bulbs are now upgraded. That leaves the oil pressure and the ignition light. And I have a pair of red bulbs here that I intend to use for those. I'm just excited to see what these even look like. I've never seen the red ones lit up before. Let's test them, should we? Backwards, totally backwards. Ooh, it is red, red, red. All right, good. Where's that one going? It is going here, like that. Now, we have to do some more checking. So we have this pin here that goes to the top side of it, and the bottom side, I can't tell where that goes. Looks like it goes to a ground. Looks like it shares a common ground with everything else here. So let's see. I'm learning pretty quick that the pins on this thing are positives and everything else is negative. So I believe it went to here. And I believe our ground, is this common ground? It's not a common ground, is it? Okay. So I'm supplying a ground, and I can see down here that it is lighting up. Pretty faint, but you can see that it's lighting up down there. Let's go get on the other one, which is this one. It goes over to this pin here. Let's supply it a ground. Oh, it's lighting up too. Cool. That's it. That's all of the lights lit up. Now let's clean the cluster up before we put it back in the truck. It's got years and years of dust, debris, and now some neat fingerprints on top. And guys, remember, the first step to a cleaner dash is a cheap paintbrush. I find that cheap paintbrushes are extremely effective at cleaning off like loose dust. They just do a fantastic job, and the bristles are nice and soft, so you don't have to worry about them destroying things. Much better. Let's put it back apart. I'm just going to set that aside because I'm not going to do a whole lot more with that. What I'm interested in is this lens. And I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but this lens has some stuff on the inside that I want to clean off of there. And I think in order to do that, I think I have to bend these tabs up. Let me see if I can do that without breaking the glass. So I was able to take my screwdriver and get one corner just kind of pried up. It looks like these pliers are going to be the right answer to kind of bend it back just enough to get it out. There we go. I don't want to bend it any more than I absolutely have to. So there's that. Should be able just to grab it and kind of, yep, there we go. And I had one little chunk there break out, but if that's all we break, then I'm okay with it. All right, what do we need to do over here? Hopefully nothing. Yay, it just kind of rolls out. Perfect. That's what I was looking for. That's exactly what I was looking for. And there's the glass. You can see why I wanted to clean that. So I'm going to lay that over here where it will definitely get broke. There we go. Let's see if we can't clean this up some. I'm going to use some 1500 grit sandpaper and just some water. And we're just going to be very gentle with it. Try to just take off this first layer of rust. Obviously this won't do any good for pitting, but it'll do great for just light surface rust. That's what we were left with after just some quick 1000 grit. Even this rubber seal's still in pretty good shape back here. We get the glass cleaned up and we're going to start reassembly on this thing. Alright, there's that part. Is this the part where we break it, or is that coming up later? It is really, really, really hard to pop that back on there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this thing back off again, and I'm going to bend those tabs up a lot to give myself more room to do this, because I do not want to break this glass, and I just feel like I'm going to break it if I don't do something else. Tell you this, the bezel itself is made out of some seriously thick material. There, does that help me some, at least? Some? There it goes. Okay. We are officially snapped back together. Glass isn't broken somehow. And I just have to decide how I'm going to bend these tabs back down. Okay, got them back down somewhat. Next is to set the cluster back in place here. And I think it's actually easier to put this here and then try to set the cluster back in this way, because I can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. Cool. Look at that. That looks so much better. Zip some screws back in it. We'll put it back in the truck. Back together it goes. This right here goes straight up and down, right at 12 o'clock. There's that. We actually have oil and ignition lights, and our fuel gauge is going up, and it looks like we have some illumination back there. Good. back together we go. Look, I'm such an overachiever. I even cleaned the bezel. I even cleaned the back. Now, best I can remember, this thing goes down here like this and snaps upward like that. I think I went low enough. There it went. Well, there it is. Get my 2 screws from my screw holder slash crack dash. These are not Phillips, they're JIC. Tons better. Tons better. Let's turn the lights off. See what it looks like in the dark. Ignition on. We have 2 lights. Excellent. And headlights on. Oh, that is so much better. Look at that. Cool. Have to kind of get the tack covered up here. I'd say that's a huge difference, wouldn't you? The project was well worth it. We'll have to deal with that too. Anyway, that project was well worth it. Looks so much better. It's crazy. Well, that was a fun video, guys. That was a lot of little improvements that kind of make the truck feel a little more complete and put together. Next thing on this truck, we're going to put some headlights in it. I'm gearing up for the being able to drive it after dark thing if I choose to. These little headlights are terrible. So next episode, we're going to put actually we're going to put 4 really cool lights. So you want to stay tuned for that. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about us, and I'll see you next time.